The waves crashed violently against the jagged rocks below, sending mist into the air like whispers from the deep. The old lighthouse stood tall, battered by time, its once bright paint now a peeling memory of the past. Locals called it Black Hollow Lighthouse, a place of bad omens, where people ventured but never returned. It wasn't just stories. Over the decades, explorers, historians, and ghost hunters had all disappeared, their fates unknown. Some claimed the sea swallowed them whole, while others whispered of something more. Please subscribe my YouTube channel and press the bell icon for new update. Sinister, something lurking within the lighthouse itself. David Holloway wasn't a man of superstition. A journalist with a reputation for digging into unsolved mysteries, he believed every legend had a logical explanation. That's why, when he received an anonymous letter challenging him to uncover the truth behind Black Hollow Lighthouse, he didn't hesitate. The letter had been simple. Do you have the courage to seek the truth? Black Hollow awaits. The lighthouse sat on an isolated stretch of coast, reachable only by a winding road that many refused to travel after dark. David arrived just before sunset, parking his car near the old keeper's house. The salty wind howled through the air, rattling loose shutters and making the entire place feel like a forgotten relic of another world. He checked his equipment: camera, voice recorder, flashlight, all set. He pulled his jacket tighter around him and stepped forward. The front door of the lighthouse groaned as he pushed it open. Dust and the scent of mildew filled his nose. The circular room at the base had broken furniture and rusted tools scattered across the floor. On the walls, faded newspaper clippings about the disappearances were tacked in a chaotic fashion. David clicked on his recorder. Inside the Black Hollow Lighthouse. It's colder than it should be in here. A creak from above made him pause. His heart pounded, but he forced himself to continue. The winding staircase spiraled upward into darkness. As he climbed, each step groaned under his weight, as if the lighthouse itself protested his presence. He passed the second floor, which had an old bedroom with a rotting mattress and a shattered mirror. Then, the third floor, a study filled with books, maps, and more clippings about missing people. One particular article caught his eye. It was dated from 1923 and featured the headline, "Lighthouse Keeper Vanishes Without a Trace." David traced the words with his fingers. The keeper's name was Thomas Grayson. According to the article, he had written letters claiming he had discovered the secret of the lighthouse days before he disappeared. His last letter read, "It watches me. It knows I know. The light is not what it seems." David shivered. A gust of wind swept through the room, making the old papers flutter. But there were no windows open. Another creak came from above. He turned toward the staircase. Someone or something was up there. He pressed forward. Reaching the final set of stairs leading to the lantern room, he noticed something strange. The air felt heavier, charged like before a storm. He took a deep breath and stepped inside. The lantern, though ancient, was still intact, its glass panes glistening. But what caught his attention was the floor. It wasn't wood like the rest of the lighthouse. It was stone, smooth black stone, cold to the touch. David knelt and ran his fingers along the surface. Symbols were carved into it, symbols he didn't recognize. He took out his phone to snap a picture. Then, the light flickered on. His breath caught in his throat. The lantern hadn't worked in years. No power ran to the lighthouse. A low hum filled the room, vibrating through the air. David stepped back. His flashlight flickered. The hum grew louder. Then, the shadows moved. At first, it was subtle, like a trick of the dim light. But then he saw clearly a figure forming from the darkness itself. Its shape was indistinct, shifting like smoke, yet its eyes were unmistakable, glowing like embers. David's instincts screamed at him to run, but his body refused to obey. The figure moved closer, its presence radiating an unnatural cold. Then, it spoke. "You should not have come." David gasped. The voice wasn't one but many, layered and twisted together. His hands trembled as he reached for his recorder, but the device shorted out with a spark. The lantern's glow pulsed, casting the room into alternating light and shadow. The figure loomed over him now, whispering words he couldn't understand. Images flashed through his mind, men screaming, drowning, vanishing into the abyss. the disappearances. They hadn't left. They had become part of the lighthouse. David stumbled back. His foot caught on something and he fell hard. Pain shot up his leg. The figure reached for him, shadowy tendrils stretching forward. With every ounce of willpower, David pushed himself up and lunged for the stairs. He ran, nearly tumbling as he descended. The whispers followed, growing louder, filling his mind with promises of secrets he wasn't meant to know. He reached the entrance and threw himself outside, gasping. The wind had picked up, howling like a wounded beast. He looked back. The lighthouse stood unchanged, its eerie glow shining against the night. His car was in sight. He sprinted toward it, heart pounding. When he reached it, he fumbled with his keys, started the engine, and sped away. Only when he was miles from the coast did he dare to look in the rearview mirror. The lighthouse's glow was still visible. But it wasn't just light. It was watching him. David never spoke of that night. He abandoned his investigation, left the article unfinished. But the nightmares never stopped. He knew the truth now. People didn't die seeking the lighthouse's secrets. They became them.